explain that to you before we have a chance to kind of discuss it in our groups, okay? So the P of PERMA stands for positive emotions. And really, these are top 10 positive emotions. This research was by Barbara Fredrickson. She talks about gratitude, joy, love, awe, inspiration, amusement, pride, hope, interest, and serenity, right? And the question that I want you to start reflecting on is, how do we make sure to experience some of these when working virtually, right? Some of these emotions would come up naturally at the workplace. You share a joke with a colleague and that's amusement. You show something that you've written or done, or a sale that's happened, or a letter that you've drafted and you're proud of that. So there's a lot, we spend a lot of our waking hours usually at the workplace. These emotions play out. Now that we're working virtually in isolation, how do we make sure to experience these extremely important positive emotions, okay? So the next pillar of well-being is the E. And this is different from all the other pillars. The E stands for engagement, right? And engagement is as simple as knowing your top strengths and being able to use them. Now, there are a couple of things I want to say here. A lot of you are probably have worked your way into a place where you are using your top strengths at work, right? Some of you may not. And I think that this webinar is going to be valuable for you, whether or not these are certainly times of change and turbulent times, but at all times, if you're aware of your top strengths and able to use them at work, that is a pillar of well-being. Now, in this picture, you know, somebody is explaining something and maybe they are graphing out or collaborating. And these are things that are not naturally happening anymore. So again, the question I want you to reflect on, are you aware of your top strengths and are you still able to use them virtually? If not, what can you do? So confession here, I love being in a room with people. I do a lot of facilitation. So, you know, this webinar is a way for me to continue to use some of my strengths, right? So think about ways that you can, given the circumstances, continue to use your top strengths and stay engaged. Now, the R of PERMA stands for positive relationships. And I would say this is the biggest, perhaps of all the 5 pillars of our understanding of happiness or well-being. This is the real challenge during this pandemic, where most of us are in lockdown mode. You know, we spend, I think the statistic is, and I'm forgetting the number of hours, if it's 80,000 hours, but basically most of our waking hours during the week are spent at work. And so, and we have, workplaces are environments where we can experience a lot of positive relationships. So this is one that I'm really going to, when we go into breakout groups, ask you to think about, what are you doing to maintain these relationships? Now, the last 2 pillars of well-being, the M stands for meaning. And you know, when we are isolated from our workplace, we're not interacting with customers in the same way, or our clients. And again, I know you represent a variety of fields, but somehow we can disconnect from the why we're doing what we're doing. And so, you know, are people in your organization during these times being reminded of the why of their work and how it's really impacting people? And then lastly, the A of PERMA stands for achievement. And achievement, we all want to have a sense that we're getting better at the things that matter to us. And our workplaces and our work environment provides us that ability. You know, when we serve let's say if I teach a workshop and I see people at the end come up and say, oh, that was great, or I can see that, you know, the aha moments happening, that makes me feel a sense of achievement. So again, all of you come from different backgrounds, but our workplace is for most people is a place where they feel that sense of achievement. And so now that we are working remotely from home in virtual settings, it's really important for us to have some kind of scoreboard where we get a sense that our work is actually having an impact, right? And I love this quote at the bottom. It says, people play differently when you keep score. So somehow when you know that, you know, even though you never left your house, that your work mattered and that it made a difference. What's the scoreboard that your team has? and that changes the level of motivation. So those are the 5 elements of well-being coming to us from the field of positive psychology and translated into the workplace, and how this plays out and why these are particularly challenging in times when we've suddenly had to abandon the place that we usually go into work. So what I want to just emphasize is that it's